Good evening. Blessings, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Night Alive with me. My name is Reverend Denise Schubert. I am a New Thought minister, a purveyor of possibility, and a lover of all things Africa. I'm kind of in the middle of Africa because I'm leaving on Saturday to go back to South Africa for a month. But I'm here with you tonight, and we are going to talk about such a wonderful topic, coloring outside the lines in your life. So I'm thrilled to be here with you. If you're here, please say hello to me and to each other. You know, we create a little bit of community here with each other. There are many more people watch after the fact than are actually here with us tonight. But it's wonderful just to see. So Brian and Jim, so happy to see you. Blessings. Namaste to you. I am on my final countdown. I leave for South Africa on Saturday for 1 month, but I will be streaming from South Africa. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I might have to record, but it doesn't matter. We'll be together. Wonderful topics in store for you. But I love tonight's topic, color outside the lines. In your life, color outside the lines. So, but before we dive into it, Suki, I haven't seen you for a while. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for checking in. You know, it matters. Otherwise, if you guys don't check in, then I'm here talking to a camera without any awareness that there's other people out there. So it's a little... okay, am I alone? Am I not alone? Are there people here with me? So I'm always so happy to see your names and your faces pop up. So let's just take a moment to bless our time together tonight. So take a breath. Just a breath. And as you exhale that breath, exhale any tension that might be in your body or your mind or your heart. Just release any sense of stress that may have come into this evening from your day, that may just be there in your life. You know, we're part of my most potent intention in life, hey Terry, is to support all of us in living a more spiritually balanced life, a more authentically expressed life. So, and a practical, like our spirituality should be practical. Like, how does it translate into our beingness? So as you take that breath, allow yourself to connect to each other, allow yourself to connect with life itself, that life is good. Life is miraculous, actually. It's a wonder. It's awe-inducing. It's hard to remember that sometimes we're in the day-to-day, the dirt and grit of the journey. And so as we do come together in this way, I simply bless us. I know that if we took the time, I took the time, you took the time, we are here together. So let it matter. Let it make a difference in our evening. Let it make a difference in our week. And so I'm so grateful for the opportunity to serve, so grateful for the opportunity to love, so grateful for the opportunity to talk about this amazing topic tonight, coloring outside the lines. So we call it good, we let it be, and so it is. Amen. So this coloring outside the lines is an incredibly important conversation. Do you remember when you were a kid and you would get these coloring books, and they were outlines. You were supposed to color them in. And do you remember how much pressure there was on making sure you didn't go outside the lines? Like making sure, like the measure of perfection was how well you did by staying inside the boundaries of the picture you were coloring. Now, this isn't just for coloring books and children. We also have these same issues in our life, right? That we are all trying to play by the rules. We're all trying to do the right thing. We're all trying to be loved and appreciated and respected by our fellow human beings. And so we capitulate, love that word, capitulate. We capitulate our individuality and our uniqueness many, many times by trying to stay within the boundaries that have been set for us. Now, A Life of Spiritual Power, for me, I am the creator of, the director of A Life of Spiritual Power. That for me is about authenticity, like being who you really are. And I looked up some definitions of authenticity today, and I loved them so much. One of them is it's from existential philosophy, and it says relating to or denoting an emotionally appropriate, significant, purposeful, and responsible mode of human life. And I kind of like everything but the last part, because I think authenticity is a spiritual endeavor, not a human one. I think authenticity has to do with honoring your soul's intention, that to find a deeper meaning, the human meaning, and to really allow yourself to connect into the spiritual intention for your life. But I love this emotionally appropriate, significant, purposeful, and responsible. So authenticity means being who you really are, being who you really are. Another one that I found that I liked was made in a way that faithfully resembles the original. So authenticity, right? Like you don't want to buy a knockoff Armani jacket. You want the Armani jacket is the real one. So in our own lives, that we are made. So here's the backdrop. We are made in the image and likeness of the one who made us. And it doesn't matter, you don't have to believe in God really, but God, if you, the God I believe in, you want to believe in that God, because it's not a man out there. It's this amazing, ineffable, gorgeous, beautiful lover of our souls, and that we were made, that there's a spiritual prototype for us in the mind and the heart of God. Just as there's a spiritual prototype of a goose and a lion and an eagle, when I've been watching the Southwest Florida Eagles, and they hatched their eggs about 3 weeks ago. And these little chicks are going to look exactly like their parents, because there's a prototype for what an eagle looks like. And there's a prototype for what you look like. So I love this definition, because it speaks to that when you are living your authentic life, you will faithfully resemble the original, which means the original you, the original idea of you, which, by the way, gets lost. It gets lost in life. It does get lost in life. I remember, part of what started me on this journey myself was finding myself in what we would probably call midlife, like, I don't know, 40-ish. And I just was so tired of not being myself. I was tired of people pleasing. I was tired of not expressing my authentic self. And I always knew, it's so interesting that in our family of origin, in the people who we grew up with mostly, they see us a certain way, and the way that they see us gets stuck. And it's very, very hard to separate yourself from the way that you are perceived. So our families of origin sometimes, and not from a mean way or a cruel way or an evil way, it's just the human way. The human way is to get onto the hamster wheel of life, coloring inside the lines, and not knowing how to get out. But we must get out. We must, because your happiness depends on it, your health depends on it, the world working depends on it, everything depends on it. There's this another quote. I think it came from Winnie the Pooh. I'm not 100% sure though. That says, to become a butterfly, you must want to fly so much you are willing to give up being a caterpillar. Now, remember that caterpillars, they kind of trod across the earth, consuming. They consume food, feed me, feed me, feed me. Not like humans, not unlike us. We trod across the earth, say, give me more money, give me more goodies, give me more cars, give me more whatever. And this quote is so beautifully saying that if you want to fly, if you want to be more, if you want to fully express yourself, you have to want it so much that you're willing to give up the moving through life, gorging yourself on things that will do nothing really but make you fat or make you drunk or make you, I don't know. There's for those of you who have known me for a while, you know I loved the movie Seabiscuit for many reasons. I've done so many sermons from this movie, but tonight the related part of the movie is Seabiscuit was born a racehorse. God made Seabiscuit to be a racehorse. He was born of, he was sired by royalty, but he was an inconsolably angry, resentful horse by the time he reached adulthood, because he was born small and the people around him said, oh my God, he's too small, he'll never be a good racehorse, he'll never be able to run. And they began to treat him as if that were true. And by the way, this is no different than you and I. You know, we were born into a family system with the first child, the middle child, the last child. We were born into parents who, and grandparents and whoever else proclaimed upon us a diagnosis of who we would be. And that diagnosis stays with us. You know, you're not as cute, you know, as pretty as your younger sister. Your brother's smarter. You've always been so sickly. What you say doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The family system dictates the box we live in. Remember, tonight's topic is coloring outside the lines. So we want to get comfortable with coloring outside the lines. So Seabiscuit, back to Seabiscuit for a moment. So Seabiscuit, there was a point in the movie where, and Seabiscuit was born a racehorse. By the way, you were born brilliant. You were born an author. You were born a teacher. You were born a minister. You were born a nurse. You were born a doctor. You were born an astronaut. You were born a lover of life. You were born a giver of truth. You were. That is your divine destiny. And our role, our job in this life is to find our way into the truth. So in Seabiscuit, what happened, because he was born small, but that didn't change his racehorseness. He was still a magnificent racehorse. But they did everything they could. They got him a girlfriend, they fed him special food, they played music in his stall, and still this horse would not run. And it's because his not his parents, but his owners had already decided he could not be a magnificent racehorse. So they trained him improperly. They trained him to run backwards on the track. They trained him to run slower than he wanted to. So he was a mess. Does anybody relate to being a mess? Like we grow up and all of a sudden we're just a mess. It's like, how did this happen? So in the movie, what happened to Seabiscuit, which is what I want to happen to you tonight, is Seabiscuit, he was a jockey came into his life and he's trying to train him to run faster. So he goes out on the racetrack and he has this brilliant moment where he says, he says to himself, I'm going to let this horse do whatever this horse wants to do. So he let him go off track. He let loose of the reins and said, Seabiscuit, do whatever you want to do. And what Seabiscuit did is he ran really fast. He was so fast. And all it took was somebody letting him be himself. So that's where you and I are at. Tonight's Color Outside the Lines is about letting you be yourself. Be who you are. Be who you are without caring about what other people think. Be who you are without caring what your past has been. Be who you are in the realm of unlimited possibilities so that you can express into life, experience life as this quote said. This quote said, relating to or denoting an emotionally appropriate, significant, purposeful, and responsible life. And it's a life that you are meant to live, not the life that your parents thought you should live, not the not the life you've been conditioned to live. I said earlier that I'm a purveyor of possibility. All that really means is, for me, for myself, I have been willing to and have successfully broken every moray that I learned in my early life. I have reinvented myself more times than is really probably you should. It's probably stupid. But every time I get a little too settled, it's like, okay, how can I go to the next level? How can I prove the world wrong about aging? How can I prove the world wrong about a stroke? How can I prove the world wrong about reinventing yourself? How can I prove the world wrong? Because there's a song to be sung by you in this lifetime. And I don't know that we can sing it if we're not willing to color outside the lines. I'm not so sure we can do it. Steve Jobs, I have another quote by him, very beautiful. He said, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. So there's a part of you and a part of me. This idea of intuition is, Ernest Holmes would say, intuition is God within us. That it is the divine spark that knows what our divine intention is. That knows. That speaks to us in a subtle internal language. So part of the reason we meditate, contemplate, get still is so that we can hear it. We can hear the intuition. But I just do want you to know that there is a part of you that knows that where the more is for you. So there are some ways to color outside the line. So how can you actually begin to break out of the hamster wheel way of living into a more authentic and more satisfying way of living? And by the way, practical. So always know, for me, if you study with me, always know that this is not just about us. It's not just about me. It's not just about you. It's about bringing into life, into the world we live in, the human family we're a part of. It's about bringing a level of love and compassion and forgiveness and authenticity into life so that life can look better and feel better than it does to most people. The world is kind of a messy place. We talked about this last week with all the killing and the violence and the hatred. We must do our part. And our part is to live our best life ever. And when we do that, the world gets better naturally. That's our part. So you never have to feel helpless and hopeless again. Like who you are doesn't matter. Who you are is the only thing that matters. So here are some ways to color outside the line. Do something different, right? Move your yoga mat. And by the way, be listening here for yourself. Like uh, there's a wisdom within you that will guide you on how to begin to break open and break up the patterns of existence so that you can live more fully and more authentically. So do something different. Move your yoga mat, take a different route to work, move the pictures on the wall, respond to a situation differently. So mostly we're like robots in some ways, that person does that and then you do that. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, it mostly shows up with our mothers, our siblings, that person at work, our husband, our spouse, our children. But we have dominion over our behavior. I know it doesn't feel like we do, but we do. You are the boss of you. Nobody can tell you what to do. Nobody can tell you what to think. Nobody can tell you how to act. That those are decisions you make and that you can change your mind anytime you want to. So see if the next time you're triggered by a situation, you can do it differently. Color outside the lines. You can change your hair. So listen, this is going to sound really silly, but I live in a senior community and there are so many people who have the same haircut they had when they were 25. So long, straight, hippie hair, and now they're 82 and they still have long, straight, hippie hair. Sometimes a haircut is a really, really great thing. In fact, I think I did, first time I cut my hair short was I was participating in what was called the 10-day course, a 10-day teen course. And I was volunteering, and it was for gang members in the San Francisco Bay Area. And there was an opportunity during that course to do something radically different with yourself physically. And one of them, for the men, shave off your beards and mustaches. Women, cut your hair short. It was so liberating. So, cut your hair. If you've had a beard, shave off your beard. Look different. Be different. Anybody who's in a 12-step program who's gotten sober or gotten clean or went to rehab, you be different. And then all of a sudden life has different options. So reinvent yourself. Declare yourself to be a different order of being and then be that. Now, for me, reinventing myself has oftentimes meant change, radical change, like go to a different city, find a different job, get a different husband, reinvent yourself. But many times our intuition is telling us to do that, to be different, to go act differently, to find different friends, to be in a different kind of vibe or consciousness. I love this one, stop people pleasing. So I want you to know, so here's what I'm going to tell you. This is the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I know this is the truth. For me, it's the truth for everyone I've ever talked to. Listen carefully. You will never reach the pinnacle of your own existence, the happiness, the joy, the prosperity, the health, the vitality, the satisfaction, the fulfillment. You will never reach that if you care what people think about you. That you need to just be who you are, and those who are yours will cleave to you, and those who are not yours will move away from you. I was talking to somebody today, we were talking about spiritual teachers, and I love to ponder how our avatars showed up in life. How did Jesus show up in life? How did the Buddha show up in life? How did Martin Luther King show up in life? And I promise you that they did not say this. Jesus did not do the Sermon on the Mount and check in with people to see if they liked it. Do you agree with me? Do you think the Sermon on the Mount was really great? Do you agree? No, none of that happened. That our true teachers tap into their connection to God, their inner wisdom, their guidance. Then they talk, and some people listen and some people don't, but they, from the perspective of being connected, do not apologize for their lives. They just live. So we want to do that, right? So we can't please people. If you're waiting for your mother or your wife or your husband or your younger sister to approve of you, to say, oh my God, you're so great, I'm so happy you're doing this, they may never do that. So you have to be willing to live independent of the people, trying to please the people around you. It's a hard one. It really is. I totally get it. So part of that is you have to be willing to let people be upset. I mean, but listen, if you're in a job that you've been in for 28 years and you don't like it, and but you make a lot of money and your 401k is really great, except you're languishing, your soul is languishing, and your life is without purpose or meaning, it may be upsetting to some people for you to leave that job and go pursue your heart's desire. But it ultimately will come down to a choice. Do I stay here to make everyone else in my life happy, or do I pursue my soul's destiny? I think it's that simple. I do. Not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think that when we look into our lives, we see all the situations where we've been compromising or where we're just tolerating. I remember somebody said to me once, I want to be in relationships where I'm celebrated and not tolerated. Don't you love that? I want to be in a job where I am celebrated and not tolerated. I want to be in a love affair where I'm celebrated and not tolerated. Can you feel the different energy? It's awesome. So be willing for people to be upset with the decisions you make, because they might be upset with the decisions you make. And in fact, I can almost guarantee you that if you were to get happy, healthy, alive, and vibrant, you are going to piss someone off. Somebody's going to think, you're going to annoy people. They're going to think you're on drugs. They're going to think you're having an affair. They're going to think that, they're not going to like it, because when you change, they have to change. When you change, the world will change. Tell the truth about everything. So just tell the truth. I don't like this. I do like this. I don't want this. I do want this. Because you have the right to tell the truth. You have the right to have what you want. You have an obligation to live your life according to your inner mandates, because that's where your power is. That's where the power is. So that means, in some ways, don't do things you don't want to do, and do things that you do want to do, which means sometimes you have to reprioritize what drives your yes and what drives your no. Because remember, coloring inside the lines, depending on your family, your culture, really all of it. Where did you grow up? Who'd you grow up with? Are you black? Are you white? Are you female? Are you male? Are you gay? Are you straight? Are you Christian? Are you Catholic? You have a rule book inside of you that says good Catholics do this, good women do this. I remember I was 21, so 1971, and I was always a little different. And I remember I got married young, because that's what women did. And we got married and supposed to have kids. And I married a doctor, so it was good. I remember I found out when I was 22, we had been trying to get pregnant, and I wasn't getting pregnant. And so we went to, fertility specialist. I remember the doctor telling me that I had this congenital defect, quote unquote defect, which would prohibit my ever being able to conceive and carry a child to term. So in essence, what he said was, you will not be having children. Now, all the people in my life were like, oh my God, this is a tragedy and we're so sorry. But that's not what I was doing. I was doing a happy dance because I didn't want, that wasn't my life's path. I knew it wasn't. I did not want a husband and 2.5 children and a white picket fence. I did not want that. So for me to be given permission to live my life in a different way was joyous, not a tragedy at all. So at some moment we have to transcend the coloring book that we were handed to see where we can be different than we've always thought ourselves to be. Color outside the lines, like be willing to go outside what you think is right. Don Miguel Ruiz wrote the book, The Four Agreements, and he talks in this book about how when we break those rules that we were handed, that we inherited through our human family, when we break the rules, even if we should break the rules, even if it's right to break the rules, even if it's great to break the rules, it may still cause us a little discomfort in our solar plexus reason because we're breaking we have a book of laws that we've been handed, and when you start breaking the rules, you might feel uncomfortable. But still, I think to step into your spiritually authentic existence, we must break them at some moment. Steve Jobs also said, deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. So part of this is making a decision. Now, I have to tell you that as you get older, you will make a decision, because when you get older, as you get older, you get very clear that, oh, I only have 10 years left. Oh, well, if I'm going to live my best life, I better do it right now. If I'm going to write that book, I better do it now. If I'm going to go to Africa, I better do it now. So in some ways, the aging process itself makes us wiser and more open to challenging that rule book that we've been handed. But I mean, why wait? You do not have to wait until you're 60 in order to live a fully authentic life that makes you happy. Steve Jobs also said, I've quoted this a couple of times, so if you've heard it before, I apologize, but he said, every morning I look myself in the mirror. So I look into the mirror and I ask myself that if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to go do on this day? He says, if the answer is no, too many days in a row, then I know something needs to change. So all you can really do is, nobody can do this work for you, right? All you can really do is say, am I happy? Am I fulfilled? Am I excited to go out and do that which I am about to go do today? Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity Church, had a beautiful quote. He says, life for each of us should be a journey into jubilation. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know. When I watch the news, I do not see a journey into jubilation. When I talk to most people, I do not see a journey into jubilation. I mostly see a tolerating. I mostly see a getting by. I mostly see a protecting ourselves from the craziness. But that's not, it's not who we are. It's not who we're meant to be. If you didn't listen to last week's blog or if you're not getting the written version of this, I flesh it out much more, so you might want to sign up for the newsletter, which you can do on my website, which is deniseschubert.com. I think I want to close here with another quote by Steve Jobs. Actually, it's not Steve Jobs. It's a guy by the name of Rob Siltonen, which Steve quoted, and he says, and this is about the people who draw outside the lines. So there are human beings who draw outside the lines, right? There are people who, I don't, rise above is not the right, but who are willing to risk coming out of being comfortable, coming out of being coloring inside the lines of their particular culture, who are willing to take the risk of speaking their voice, of being punished for that, of being shunned for that. But I'm going to tell you, this quote speaks to me because it talks about who those people are. So he says, here is to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They are not fond of rules. They have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, you can disagree with them, you can glorify or villainize them or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as crazy ones, we see genius, because the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the only ones who do. So I leave you with this charge, really, to not be afraid of this inner exploration of yourself, who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you want, what calls you, what excites you, and to be willing to begin to move outside of the structures that keep us doing the same old thing over and over and over again. We have to be different. Ernest Holmes said, change your thinking, change your life. Yes? So, good. Color outside the lines. Just say it. Color outside the lines. Color outside the lines. Be different. Be willing to be different. So take a breath. That concludes this particular lesson. I'm going to pray with us, so don't go away. So I leave for South Africa. Where I'm going is 6 hours later than here. So if you're on the West Coast, it's 9 hours later. So right now it's like midnight, and I won't be streaming to you live at midnight. So I'm probably going to record the Sunday Night Alive for the 4 Sundays that I'm there. But it will just still be me, and you'll have Africa in the background, and the topics are amazing. The one for next week, by the way, I'm excited about this one, is claim contentment. Claim contentment. There is very little in life. There's very little agreement that we can be content. All kinds of evidence why you should be worried and afraid, worry, fear, and doubt. All kinds of reasons why you should be miserable. All kinds of reasons why you should be sad and depressed. There's not a whole lot of reasons for you to be content. So next week we're going to explore what it feels like to claim contentment rather than wait for the outside world to bring it to you. So that's next week from South Africa. I'll be in South Africa. If you are fed by this series and you want to support my ministry, you can do that through a love offering or tithe, and you can do it through my website, which you should go to anyway, because you'll see all my pictures of beautiful African animals. You can do PayPal or Zelle to revdschubert@gmail.com, or you can obviously mail a check to my mailing address, which is here on the slide. Obviously, this is optional. I'm going to do this for everyone, but this is what I do now for work. So if you're called, please feel free. So just remember Don't let people pull you into their storm. Pull them into your peace. So let me pray us out. So the message today is to give yourself permission to become your most authentic self, to once again recognize that you're a spiritual entity having a human experience, that you're not bound by all the rules and regulations of being human, that you have a deeper purpose and you have a deeper connection to the one who made you. And so let's just call that forth in prayer. And I do recognize the challenge of it. It's not easy to change. I mean, if it were easy to change, we would have all changed already. So it's very hard to go against the patterns, the habits that we're used to. But if you're going to shine, you must, right? Because if you want to remember, if to become a butterfly, to fly above the earth, to be beautiful and free, you to do that, you have to be willing to give up. You want to do it so much, you have to be willing to give up being a caterpillar. It's a very powerful quote. All right, so let's just take another deep breath before we complete tonight. Simply breathing in the life force. Without the breath, there is no life. Breath is life. And as you breathe in this breath, I invite you to close your outer eyes. Let your conditions, your circumstances, people, places, and things, the news, the world, all of it simply fade into the background as you open your inner eyes, which is the opportunity to gaze into that place within you, which I know that you know is loving. I know that you know is yearning for full self-expression, that is whole and perfect and complete, that is connected to the one life, the one power, the one presence that I call God, that I call universal intelligence, that I call the quantum field of unlimited possibilities, that is the truth of who you are. It is your nature. It is the truth about who you are. You are not your mother's daughter or son. You are not that person that you've been defined by life to be. You are more. And so I simply know that we are connected to each other, that we are connected to the one, that we are connected in an infinite field of unlimited possibilities that is waiting for us to make decisions, waiting for us to choose a path, waiting for us to claim everything. And so I speak my word into this lawful universe, knowing for each one of us that we have the courage, the capacity, the commitment, the desire, the vision to change, to do something different, to be something different, to step into a fuller expression of who we are, to lay down everything in our life that doesn't serve us: anger, resentment, revenge, sorrow, sadness, remorse. All of that must go as we step in and claim for ourselves that we are loving, compassionate, joyful human beings wanting to make a difference on this planet, having the capacity to do this. We just have to decide. And so I know as that each one of us, as we do that, that the universe shifts for us, that the molecules move for us. The universe responds to us with a huge, gigantic yes. You want to be happy? Yes. You want to be prosperous? Yes. You want to be healthy? Yes. So begin the change of changing your mind and watch how the world you live in changes with you. And so for this evening's work together, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for our taking the time to practice, taking the time to study, taking the time to remember. And so I release my word knowing fully that its fulfillment is guaranteed to the degree that we believe, that we surrender, and that we trust in the manifestation of the word spoken. And so join me in accepting this for yourself by saying, and so it is. Amen. All right, beloveds. So I will see you next Sunday night, one way or another, 6 o'clock, claiming your contentment. And as always, if you want to reach out to me, you can. If you want some one-on-one life coaching, you can reach out to me through my website. We can set up time. I'm not that expensive, and we can move through any places where you're stuck, any places where you're wanting to expand but don't know how. It serves to have a spiritual witness to your spiritual journey. So I'm here for you always, and I look forward to the next time we connect. So peace and blessings, love to you, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.